All right, let's dive into something pretty profound. Karma yoga. Now, before you go. This isn't really about, physical flexibility or anything like that. It's a totally different kind of practice. One that's all about selfless action. I know. Selfless action might sound a little too ancient wisdom for Tuesday afternoon or whenever you're listening to this, but trust me, this deep dive is all about bringing these principles into your life, even if you've never even heard of karma yoga before.
You're so right. A lot of us, we hear karma and we just think what goes around comes around, like almost like the universe is keeping score or something. But karma yoga, it kind of flips that whole idea on its head. It's less about waiting for some cosmic payback and more about changing how we approach action itself.
Okay, so let me get this straight. It's not about just like sitting back and letting life happen to me.
No, not at all. It's about being really aware of our choices, our actions, even the tiny little ones. And instead of getting all caught up in, what we're going to get out of them, it's about shifting our focus to the action itself.
So less about, what's in it for me and more about the how and the why behind the things we do. Honestly, that's a pretty big shift for someone like me. I mean, I thrive on like checking things off my to-do list.
I hear you. But think about it this way. Imagine you're totally swamped at work. Deadlines are like breathing down your neck, your inbox is overflowing. If you're constantly fixated on that outcome, finishing everything perfectly and getting everyone to like love your work, you're just setting yourself up for stress overload.
Oh, tell me about it. Some days it feels like I'm just drowning in to-dos. But how does karma yoga help in that kind of situation?
Well, that's where this idea of detaching from results comes in. And it doesn't mean you don't care about your work. It's about finding a sense of calm and peace while you're doing it. So instead of obsessing over whether your boss is going to love that presentation, karma yoga says, hey, focus on the task at hand. Do your best. Be present with each step and let go of that need to control the outcome.
Okay, I'm starting to see how that could make those like crazy days a little less overwhelming. It's almost like taking a step back and just getting a little breathing room, even in the middle of the chaos.
Exactly. And that leads us to the heart of karma yoga, really. It's about acting without being attached to the fruits of your labor. Now, in the traditional sense, this whole idea ties into the concept of breaking free from samsara, which is that cycle of, birth, death, and rebirth.
Wait, hold on, a rebirth. Are we talking like reincarnation here?
We are. The idea is that our actions, our desires, they kind of fuel this cycle of samsara. And karma yoga, in its like purest form, is all about achieving liberation from that cycle. Letting go of ego and desire. But even if the whole reincarnation thing isn't really your cup of tea, the core principles are still super relevant today.
Okay, so let's bring this back down to earth.
Right.
For those of us who aren't exactly ready to transcend the cycle of existence just yet, how can these ancient principles actually be applied to like real life?
One really powerful way is by just bringing more awareness back to our actions. Think about it. How much of your day is spent on autopilot? Mindlessly scrolling through your phone, rushing from one thing to the next. Karma yoga is like hitting the pause button and bringing that conscious intention to like everything you do.
I have been trying to be more mindful lately, but I usually think of mindfulness as like meditation or yoga, not, my daily grind.
And that's what's so cool about karma yoga. It's like mindfulness in motion, The text we're looking at today gives this great example. Even something as like mundane as making your morning coffee can become a karma yoga practice.
So instead of just like guzzling down caffeine on my way out the door, I should like savor each step.
Exactly. Think about the aroma of the beans, the sound of the grinder, the feeling of that warm mug in your hands. By bringing awareness to those sensations, you're shifting your focus from just getting that caffeine fix to appreciating the process itself.
Wow. I'm already feeling calmer just thinking about that. So acting with intention, check. What else is there to karma yoga?
Well, there's this whole idea of embracing the process, which in our like achievement-obsessed world can be a total game changer. We're constantly bombarded with messages about goals, deadlines, success. But karma yoga, it encourages us to like let go of that relentless pursuit of the end result and find joy in the journey itself.
That actually resonates with me a lot. I'm definitely someone who gets really fixated on achieving goals. And honestly, it's exhausting. Always striving for the next big thing. And I often forget to like enjoy the process along the way.
And that's where karma yoga can offer such a sense of relief. Instead of getting all hung up on whether you'll get that promotion, what if you focused on, learning new skills, building relationships with your colleagues, and simply giving your best effort each day?
It's like shifting from a mindset of, I'll be happy when, to, like, I can find happiness now,
Yeah.
even if things aren't, perfect.
Exactly. And it ties into another fundamental principle of Karma Yoga, accepting that challenges are an inevitable part of life. But instead of seeing them as these big obstacles in our way, we can view them as opportunities for growth and learning.
Oh, I love that. It's like reframing those, quote unquote failures as stepping stones on the path,
Yeah.
rather than reasons to just give up.
And that's where resilience comes in. By embracing the process, even the messy, challenging parts, we actually build our capacity to bounce back from setbacks and navigate uncertainty with more grace.
So it's like Karma Yoga is giving us the tools to not just survive life's curveballs, but to actually thrive in the middle of them.
Precisely. And this brings us to another fascinating aspect of Karma Yoga, the idea of interconnectedness. In our modern world, it's so easy to feel isolated and like we're all just these individuals striving for our own success.
Yeah, especially with social media, right? It's like a highlight reel of everyone else's achievements, which can make you feel pretty inadequate sometimes.
But Karma Yoga reminds us that we're not these like isolated islands. We're all part of a larger web of life. And our actions, they have these ripple effects that extend far beyond ourselves. It's about recognizing that we're all interconnected and that our choices impact not just our own lives, but the lives of others and the world around us.
Okay, this is getting really interesting. So it's not just about me and my personal journey. It's about acknowledging how my actions affect other people, even in little ways.
Exactly. It's about shifting from a me-focused perspective to a we-focused perspective. And that leads us to another key principle of Karma Yoga, serving a higher purpose. Now, before you go picturing yourself, in a superhero cape or anything like that, let me clarify. This isn't about grand gestures or becoming a saint. It's about recognizing that even our small, everyday actions, they can actually contribute to something much bigger than ourselves.
So it's not about like waiting for the opportunity to save the world. It's about finding ways to make a positive impact right here, right now.
Exactly. It's about asking yourself, hey, how can I use my skills, my talents, to serve something greater than myself? And that's something, it could be anything really, your family, your community, a cause you're passionate about, or even just like making someone's day a little bit brighter.
It's almost like a shift in perspective, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just going through the motions, it's about finding meaning and purpose in the things we do. And I bet that could make even the most boring, mundane tasks feel more fulfilling.
Absolutely. And, the source material we're looking at today, it really emphasizes that it's not about forcing yourself to be selfless or denying your own needs. It's about finding that sweet spot where your actions align with your values and contribute to the well-being of yourself and others.
I'm starting to see how this all ties together. The awareness, the intention, understanding how interconnected we are. It's like Karma Yoga provides a framework for living a more meaningful and fulfilling life.
Right. And the best part is anyone can practice Karma Yoga. It doesn't matter what your background is, your beliefs, or your spiritual inclinations, It's a path that's open to all.
Okay, I'm hooked. We've talked about acting with intention, embracing the process, serving a higher purpose. But what about the payoff? What do we get out of practicing Karma Yoga?
Well, this is where it gets really fascinating. One of the biggest payoffs, and this might sound a little counterintuitive, is inner peace.
Wait, really? You're saying acting selflessly actually leads to more peace for me. How does that work?
Well, think about it. A lot of our stress comes from clinging to how we want things to turn out, right? We get caught up in expectations, worry about what other people think, and constantly judge ourselves. Karma Yoga is kind of like quieting that inner critic down.
So it's like by detaching from outcomes, we're also detaching from all the drama that comes with those expectations.
Exactly. It's not about suppressing your emotions or becoming, indifferent. It's about finding a sense of calm amidst all the chaos. The text we're looking at makes this point beautifully. It says something like, in a world of constant stimulation and demands, Karma Yoga offers a sanctuary of inner stillness.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It's like creating space for peace and quiet, even when everything around us is like in overdrive.
Mm. And that sense of inner peace, it also leads to greater resilience. Remember how we talked about embracing the process? Well, when we're not so fixated on the outcome, we're better equipped to handle whatever curveballs life throws our way.
So it's like Karma Yoga is giving us this like superpower to deal with all the ups and downs of life.
Exactly. Instead of getting knocked down by every setback, we can approach challenges with a more balanced perspective. We know that things won't always go our way, but we also know that we have the inner strength to adapt and keep moving forward.
That's so empowering. It's like we're not just victims of circumstance. We have the agency to choose how we respond.
And that leads us to another amazing payoff, making a positive impact on the world. We talked about interconnectedness earlier, and this is where it all comes full circle. When we act selflessly with the intention to serve a higher purpose, we contribute to something much bigger than ourselves.
So it's like by focusing on helping others, we're actually creating this ripple effect of positivity, something that goes way beyond our immediate actions.
Precisely. And it's not about becoming some kind of saint or sacrificing our own well-being, you know? It's about recognizing that we all have something to offer and that even small acts of kindness can make a real difference.
I love that. It feels so much more attainable than this, like, grand, heroic notion of selflessness.
And this is a key takeaway from our deep dive today. Karma Yoga isn't about perfection, it's about practice. It's a journey of like continuously learning and evolving, of bringing more awareness and intention to our actions.
So it's not about instantly becoming some, like, selfless superhero,
Mhm.
but about integrating these principles into our lives little by little.
Exactly. And what's so encouraging is that anyone can do this. You don't need any special training or qualifications or anything. It's simply about choosing to act with awareness, compassion, and a desire to serve.
This is all starting to click into place now. We've explored the core principles, how to bring them to life in our modern world, and even the amazing benefits. But before we wrap up, I'm curious, how do we know we're actually on the right track with this whole karma yoga thing? Is there like a checklist or something?
That's a great question, and it gets to the heart of what makes karma yoga so profound, really. There's no checklist because it's not about achieving some, external standard. It's about that inner transformation that happens when we embrace these principles. The source material, it talks about this beautiful shift from seeking happiness outside ourselves to finding it within.
So it's less about like doing it right and more about the journey itself.
Exactly. Think of it this way. Let's say you're facing a challenge right now, maybe at work, in a relationship, or even just with yourself. How might applying even one of these principles change your approach? What if, instead of stressing about the outcome, you focused on acting with integrity and intention in this very moment?
That's such a powerful question to like sit with. It's like suddenly the focus shifts from what's outside my control to what I can control, my own actions and mindset.
Precisely. And that's the beauty of karma yoga. It empowers us to take responsibility for our own experience, regardless of our circumstances.
Okay, so to recap for our listeners, we dove deep into karma yoga, not as some mystical concept, but as a practical philosophy we can use in our everyday lives. We talked about acting with intention, embracing the process, serving a higher purpose, and the amazing benefits that ripple out from those shifts: inner peace, resilience, and a positive impact on the world.
And what's so fascinating is that this isn't like a one-time fix. It's an ongoing journey. The more we practice, the more we learn, and the more we grow. It's like a muscle,
Yeah.
We can strengthen it over time.
I love that analogy. And speaking of strengthening that muscle, for our listeners who are like intrigued and want to explore further, there's a whole world of resources out there, from ancient texts like the Bhagavad Gita to modern interpretations. There's really something for everyone.
And what's so exciting is that each person's journey with karma yoga will be unique. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's about finding what resonates with you and integrating it into your life in a way that feels authentic.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'd encourage you to take a moment to just reflect on what we've discussed today. How might even one small shift in your approach create a ripple effect in your own life and the world around you? That's something to chew on. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
And the really cool thing is there's no pressure to be perfect at this right away.
Oh, good. Perfect and me. Not exactly close friends, especially before that first cup of coffee. You know what I mean?
I hear ya. And that's why the sources we've been looking at, they emphasize this idea of practice. The more we choose actions that really reflect our values, the easier it gets.
So it's like building a muscle. You got to work it out to make it stronger.
Exactly. Think about it. The first time you tried riding a bike, I bet you wobbled a bit, maybe even took a spill, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But the more you practiced, the more it just became second nature. Karma yoga is kind of like that.
Makes sense. But, I still wonder, how do I even know if I'm doing this right? Like, is there some sign I'm getting the hang of this karma yoga thing?
Well, the texts we've been looking at, they actually talk about that. They say that as you start to live by these principles, you'll notice a change in your inner world.
Oh, a change. Like, what, am I going to start, like, levitating or something?
Haha, maybe not levitation. But you might just find a deeper sense of peace, even when everything around you is, totally chaotic.
No, that would be a superpower worth having. Seriously. I'm all about finding more peace these days.
And that's one of the most amazing things about Karma Yoga, really. It's not about chasing some, external goal or needing other people's approval. It's about that feeling of fulfillment that comes from inside you.
I'm starting to see why people are so drawn to this. But, okay, let's be honest. I'm a busy person,
Yeah.
right? Between work, family, trying to have some kind of social life, squeezing in anything new is hard. How do I even fit Karma Yoga into my already crazy schedule?
Well, that's the beauty of it, It's not something you got to add to your to-do list. It's about changing how you see the things you're already doing.
So, like, instead of trying to cram in another meditation session, it's about finding ways to be more mindful in my everyday life.
You got it. It could be as simple as really listening to a friend who's having a rough time, or maybe helping a coworker with a project, even if it means staying a little later.
It's funny. I'm realizing I've had moments like this without even knowing it was. Like Karma Yoga. Remember when my neighbor was sick a while back? I just naturally started bringing her food, checking in on her. It didn't feel like some huge selfless act. It just felt right.
And that's the magic. When we tap into that natural compassion we all have and we act from that place of genuine caring, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like we're being true to ourselves.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely on board with this Karma Yoga thing now. But for someone like me, just starting out, where do I even begin?
Well, one of the sources we looked at had this great suggestion. Start by asking yourself a simple question. How can I be of service today?
That is a good question. It's like a little nudge to look beyond myself and see how I can, like, make a difference, even in a small way.
And remember, it doesn't have to be some big heroic gesture, It could be just giving a genuine compliment to a stranger or helping someone carry their groceries, even just truly listening when a friend needs to vent. Those all count.
I love that. It's like we're all everyday superheroes spreading a little kindness wherever we go.
And the ripple effects, you wouldn't believe how far they can reach.
All right, so for everyone listening who's ready to explore Karma Yoga, we've covered a lot. The main idea is how to actually live this stuff in our modern world and all those amazing benefits: inner peace, resilience, a deeper sense of purpose and connection. Karma Yoga really is like a guide to a more fulfilling life.
And what's so fascinating, it's not like you arrive somewhere, It's an ongoing journey. The more we live by these principles, the more we'll see the impact, both in ourselves and the world around us.
I love that image. Like we're all part of this giant web, and each act of kindness, no matter how small, makes that web stronger, more beautiful.
And if you're feeling inspired to dive deeper, there are so many resources out there. Ancient texts like the Bhagavad Gita, modern books and podcasts, there's something for everyone.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought. What's one tiny step you can take today to bring more intention, awareness, and compassion into your life? Maybe it's offering a helping hand, being truly present with someone you care about, or even just taking a moment to appreciate the beauty that's all around us. Remember, every act of kindness, no matter how small, can spark a ripple of positivity.